All right, welcome in Blue Collar Fantasy Football. So today we are going over Where Are They Now? Wide Receiver Edition, Part 2. I'm Ryan Turnwall.
I'm Dustin Spearcole.
Let's get it cracking.
Let's do it, baby. All right. First on the list for Where Are They Now? Wide receivers. Heavy hitter, guys. Starting with the big boy. Stephon Diggs has been relocated to the Houston Texans, but it's only a 1-year deal.
Is it really?
1-year
I didn't
deal.
realize that. That's actually
So Diggs is 30 years old. He came to the Texans on a 1-year deal. So he's moving over to rookie, second-year quarterback C.J. Stroud. He did show that really big decline at the end of last year.
it was actually earlier than the end. It's kind of crazy. After week 6, he did not have a 100-yard game.
Wow.
That's kind of eye-opening. I just saw that and it's like, wow.
Well,
that's crazy.
And I have here from week 10 on, he was wide receiver 45.
Ooh.
Wide receiver 45, averaging 7.3 fantasy points a game and 42 receiving yards per game from week 10 on. So that's just under half of the season.
Yeah, I'm looking at stats right now, and there's multiple 30-yard games, 20-something yard games. It was tough sledding at the end. It really was.
So I looked it up. That actually does line up exactly with when they fired the offensive coordinator.
Really?
It lines up exactly. So they actually fired their OC after the week 10 loss. So, and you can see it. That's right where he declines.
Yeah, well, and I mean, shoot, last year, if you lost to Denver, that's rough.
Unless you're a Broncos fan. I celebrated in the streets.
That was a big night for Dustin.
Yep.
But, I mean, that does, that really proves that they demand to win now. The Bills did.
Yeah, I mean, but you keep meeting Kansas City in the championship.
Yeah.
And you got to have that factor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to be able to put it down.
If getting rid of Diggs was their big move, sweet. I don't know what that math is, but that's cool.
Yeah, hey, it's a little bit different backwards, but
one, it seemed like after week 10, it seemed like the team did transition to more of a run first offense. And I think so I even have here, I was like, I don't believe it was a talent problem. It was with the decreased production. I think it was more of the system change to the, kind of a run first offense. That's when James Cook really started cooking. Yeah. Get it? See what I did there?
Clever.
But it also seemed like it was just trending to more of a personality problem.
Yeah.
With Stephon Diggs and his big personality.
You would see a lot of sideline clips of him and Josh Allen just getting into it, and it ended badly. It really did.
And I think it's just been constantly kind of trending towards that. You know what I mean? It was just kind of, all the off seasons, it was, I don't know, man, Stephon Diggs seems pissed.
Yeah, well, and I mean, we saw that in Minnesota as well. I mean, if he's not happy, you're going to know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's more of the same.
Yeah.
I think it's more of the same situation.
But I think this is a good opportunity he has.
I think it is too. I mean, he had the best situation.
Yeah, he did.
He was the wide receiver 1 with a top 3 quarterback throwing him the ball.
Yeah, 100%.
Whereas now he's going into more of a crowd. He's going into a crowded receiver room.
Yeah, I don't think it's a better opportunity, but he will see less double teams, I believe.
And it's not a run first offense.
It's not a run first.
If that's the way the Bills are transitioning, then he may have caught a break there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
Because they were slinging it. The Texans were slinging it. Yeah. But he does still have Tank Dell there.
Yep.
They still have Nico Collins.
Yeah,
and they're all having their breakouts together. They have that dynamic. They have that rapport with each other. And Stephon Diggs is now walking into that situation.
Yeah, there's 4 players on that offense that are mid breakout right now.
Yeah, and they're doing it together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I do think he's still a PPR machine. I do think he's still more than capable.
Yeah.
And he is going to be more of a value than he has been in the past, as he should be. It's a questionable at best, at worst situation.
Yeah.
With the Texans and where he's gonna fit into it. Is he going to be the dog and be the number one, or is it still going to be Nico Collins?
No.
And Diggs is going to be their PPR guy for third downs.
It's going to be interesting because the Texans didn't lose any targets this offseason. They just add Diggs to the mix and
Mixon.
So I mean,
so they're adding 2 receiving options.
Yeah, you're not going to see the 160 targets that Diggs got last year. I don't think he hits that 150, 160 target mark that he did last year.
There's too many mouths to feed. There's too many mouths to feed. They may be more higher valued targets. They're not. I don't know. That's hard even. As soon as I said it, I was like, that's hard to even say because you're competing with Gabe Davis, and we just went over Gabe Davis in the last episode.
Yeah.
And it was nothing that like awe-striking, like, oh, that's why.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. No, Diggs was the Bills' offense.
Diggs was by himself out there for half those weeks. We found out
2-3 years. Yeah.
But even so, this is why I don't think it's a decline in his production, a lack of talent. Even with after week 10.
Yeah.
Finishing at wide receiver 45 on average, he still finished the entire season PPR fantasy wide receiver 9.
It's hard to argue with. Yeah.
So he finished outside of 45 over the last 10 games and still overall finished 9. That's how dominant he was. Those first few weeks.
And he is a PPR player's friend. I mean, 107 targets, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. I mean, it's hard to argue with that.
I love this dynamic.
Oh, it added to the Texans offense?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think, it's going to be hard to tell who's going to be the guy each week, but I think as a NFL move, what a great move. I think they're going to the playoffs guaranteed.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
Absolutely. As an NFL team, the noise.
Yeah.
As a fantasy, components, I think it is a little bit murky. However, I do think it hurts. I think Stephon Diggs will be just fine this year, in my personal opinion. I also think Tank Dell will be just fine this year.
Yeah.
I think Nico takes the hit.
Very well could.
I think Nico and Schultz.
Yeah, Nico was kind of that mid to deep range target for Stroud, I think. And yeah, he could take a hit. Because Dell to me seems like the deep threat.
Yeah.
The surprise, he came out of the slot.
Yep.
Had the wrong guy guarding him target. But,
well, yeah, because no one realized he was covered in grease.
Yeah, no kidding. Tank looks awesome. But yeah, I think Nico moves a little bit out of that PPR, catches a game role. And I think Diggs takes that. And so Nico could see a pretty big hit this year.
Those targets got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, because Diggs and Tank Dell are not the same receiver.
No, they are not.
Him and Nico, in my opinion, are similar archetypes of wide receiver.
Well, and they added 2 receiving threats this year. They added Mixon and they added Diggs.
Yeah,
and those targets have to come from somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, Mixon in the Bengals offense, which wide receiver central, he demanded, I want to say 64 targets.
Yeah,
last year.
Mixon's still going to eat.
Yeah,
and they paid both of them to eat.
Yeah.
But Diggs is a 1 year.
Mm-hmm. He's a rental.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
Couldn't think rental, dude. That's why I keep you around.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Okay, next up, we're moving on. Let me know what you think. Who's going to lose the targets on the Texans? Nico, Tank, Schultz? Let me know.
My call's Nico.
My call is also Nico and Schultz. Yeah. Deontay Johnson. Old, reliable Deontay.
Not so reliable last year.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Yeah, he missed some games though.
He did miss some games. I thought he was gonna be sweet last year.
He missed 4.
You took me back when you said that. I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of painful.
It was.
Deontay Johnson is 27 years old. He was traded to the Carolina Panthers. He's a talented wide receiver. He's always demanded a large target share, kind of no matter what. And that's what they always say is that, like your target percentage is an earned stat based on talent, based on reliability, and you actually coming down with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a huge thing in his favor. Can't really say that it's a downgrade at quarterback going to the Carolina Panthers from the situation that the Steelers had.
I believe it is an upgrade. I see a little bit of a resurgence. Well, not a resurgence, but I guess a breakout from Bryce Young. I don't want to call it a breakout though. I don't know.
He might just find find his footing in the NFL. I mean, he didn't.
It was rough. I feel for my Carolina Panthers fans, but
For sure. And I mean that was also the whole thing. His football IQ coming into it.
right.
I mean, it wasn't overhyped on even a really like talent. Like he didn't excel at anything. He was just smart with the ball.
Yeah.
And maybe on the Carolina Panthers last year, it was smart to not throw the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Might have been. Just give it to Chuba.
That's exactly what they did too.
Yeah.
Not Sanders.
Not Sanders.
And I have here. It doesn't excite me with Bryce Young's super underwhelming performance on his rookie season.
Yeah.
And they did add a bunch of actual options.
Yeah, they did.
In this offseason.
They're making the moves to feed Bryce Young lower tier Bears style offseason.
Yeah, they had some moves. They did a lot of moves in the draft, and they grabbed a higher ranking rookie tight end. They also grabbed a first round wide receiver in Leggett. So they're adding to that receiving core.
And Jonathan Brooks too.
Thank you, Jonathan Brooks. Still have Mingo. Still waiting for that breakout, right, guys?
Oh man, that was rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
High hopes there.
And I did watch tape on that Jatavian Sanders. And he looked good. I mean, he looked like a very functional wide receiver or tight end, not like a big, huge monster guy, but more of a Pitts build.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, like super body functional and smooth with it.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I don't know, going into this next year, if Bryce Young does not take that step forward, there is not enough volume here.
No.
They're not out on the field long enough to support all these guys. However, I do have faith in Deontay Johnson to keep his target share.
Yeah, and I mean last year
whatever that share is, he will still have his piece of the pie. He always demanded.
Yeah, me personally, I think I would expect more of the same of what you saw last year with Deontay.
Yeah.
87 targets, 51 catches, 700 yards.
Well, we have a great sample size of an underwhelming quarterback play.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's just more of the same. He's just drag and drop.
Yeah. But there is also the upside of if he takes that Adam Thielen-esque role that Thielen had for a little bit last season and becomes Bryce Young's best friend.
Yeah, it was awesome for half a year.
For half a year, it was awesome.
For half a year, then, but it didn't. No one else broke out.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean?
And part of that too. So
the production didn't move away, is what I'm saying. Like it didn't move away from Thielen.
Right.
When he stopped producing, it didn't go to Chark or something.
Right.
It just didn't go anywhere. The ball didn't move. Chuba Hubbard broke out.
It was Chuba Hubbard.
Not broke out, but you know what I mean. He was the most productive.
Yeah.
Fantasy player on the team.
Yeah, he was the most important fantasy asset on that team. And the upside, in my opinion, is he is a little bit younger than Thielen. Thielen might have kind of started getting achy bones as the season went on. Thielen's getting up there.
Well, a lot of people did project that too. That Thielen would come in hot
mm-hmm.
and taper off as he took more wear and tear on his body. There was a lot of that speculation going into last year, but it didn't go anywhere else. That's concerning.
No, it's just the offense slowing down,
which he didn't develop.
Yeah.
Bryce Young as a talent, as a quarterback, didn't develop the more time he got.
Yeah, you really didn't see much development through the season.
You didn't.
No.
So even with all that lack of production, lack of quarterback play, Deontay Johnson, he finished at wide receiver 31 or 51. Sorry, big difference. 51 last season, and then but his ECR is more optimistic this year. Going into the Carolina Panthers, he is projected at 39 for ECR, wide receiver 39.
Yeah, it's crazy to see him that low, honestly.
But it's low, but it still feels high.
Yeah.
Based off of his finish with bad quarterback play.
Yeah, and but if Bryce Young does step his game up and this offense does, we get the old Deontay of PPR machine, 15 points a game, 10 points a game. Give me 10 points a game. As throwing a flex, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? In a PPR league, sure.
But how big of a step would it have to be to support one fantasy wide receiver all year compared to what he did last year?
For Bryce Young, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
that would be a sizable step.
Yeah, and I think it's very possible.
Let alone
they
just landed 2 more pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 2 more receiving options.
No,
I've been seeing him get moved. I've been seeing him get talked up, and people are excited about it. And I get it. As a talent, in a vacuum, I like Deontay Johnson as a wide receiver.
I agree.
Carolina Panthers are scary. Only place I'm investing this year is in the running game.
Yeah, because that's the value. But with him going ECR, what'd you say, 39?
Yep.
That is a pretty late wide receiver pick. In most, if you're in a PPR league, that's a late wide receiver pick. So if you want to throw a dart,
could be the one.
Yeah, easily, I think.
Does he keep his floor?
Oh no, I don't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't.
He's always been a floor play.
Yeah, that's the 10 points a game.
Yeah,
give it to me guaranteed. I don't think he has that necessarily in this new offense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he really didn't. He didn't see much floor last year.
That's my fear. He lost his one namesake quality.
Yeah.
That we were like.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Worst case. His worst case got a lot worse.
He's not explosive, in my opinion.
I don't think he's been asked to be either.
True. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless he puts team on his back. Speaking of explosive transitions, I'm working on it. Calvin Ridley. No longer in Jacksonville. So Calvin Ridley also made the move over to the Tennessee Titans. He signed a 4-year deal worth up to $92 million. So this is a monster contract. So when you're looking at, you're looking at that contract number and you're looking at it being, it's a big number. Up to $92 million is a big payday.
It is.
So when you're looking at it, though, don't forget, bad teams pay a bad team tax to free agents.
That's a very good point. Please remember that.
Yeah, so when you're looking at these numbers, because I take these numbers into quite a bit of, with my consideration, especially dynasty, things like that. But these teams, when they're going after these free agents, they're going to give a larger amount of money because your outlook is a lot lower. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not going to be a
contender.
A contender, yeah, exactly.
Contender. But yeah, you're not going to Kansas City Chiefs.
Right. Yeah.
Where the Kansas City Chiefs, you're calling them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll take less to come.
Come on, man, our team friendly deal. Let's go win a ring. It's not that with these type of situations. So just keep that in mind.
Yep.
But Ridley, when he was at Jacksonville, he was highly targeted, and utilized in Jacksonville. But a lot of concerns we had was I'm sorry. I think my tongue got big there for a minute. A lot of those throws that we were talking about, they looked catchable. It was that Trevor Lawrence throwing them just outside, like we talked about in the last episode. Yeah. But a lot of them, too, where it was like, man, I'm pretty sure they hit your hands there, bud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of that, it felt like, where I feel like he should have came down with that. But the nice thing is we did see him get plenty of utilization. We saw plenty of game tape where those fears we had coming into last season of, Ridley off the couch are gone.
Yeah.
We don't have any of those concerns this year. And last year we took him all on upside. Yeah. Because downside could have been he's not fit to play.
Right.
Yeah. So that's all to bed. Sure. That's all squashed. That part of it feels great. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I do.
He did lead the entire NFL in red zone targets last year.
He's a target demander. I mean, right here. 136 targets, and I hate to say this, but looking at these stats, it reminds me a lot of Marquise Brown. Almost 140 targets,
pretty good comp.
76 catches. So half of the balls he got thrown, he didn't come down with.
Yeah, and if you bought in on Ridley last year, you saw it.
Yeah.
You saw it.
He was just more. Well, it's hard to say he was more efficient because he had the most red zone targets, but he had 8 touchdowns. So
No,
I mean, 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. That's where those are the weeks that when he scored those multi-touchdown games. That's that's what really kept him relevant.
it looked like Lawrence was throwing to a slower receiver than he was in practice in some of those games.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Where he was put in a spot where like that's the spot, and then Ridley just wasn't there yet. Like this was constant.
Yeah.
It was what always looked like that. Like Ridley was constantly full selling out for it.
It was just honestly it was a weird year for Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a really weird year for Lawrence Ridley. That combination was kind of rough.
It was. I was very optimistic. I think we all were.
Oh, yeah.
As fantasy.
We both had our shares.
Yeah, I mean, you had Kirk to compete with.
Yeah.
And turns out Kirk was still the piece you wanted a little bit.
Yep.
But he was signed to be a wide receiver 1, and he's a wide receiver 1 alongside an aging DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on it, I think this is DeAndre Hopkins last year.
It could be.
I saw that, and I did. So I read that, and I didn't read if it was his last year of his contract or if he's talking retirement. It did not specify on where I was reading it, and I was like, I'm not looking it up. I'll just throw it in there and put a asterisk.
Well, and either way, I could see it going either way. I mean, I don't see him sticking around on the Titans much longer. It's hard to say.
Unless they keep paying bad team tax.
Nah, they very well could.
You know what I mean? And the Titans didn't make any big moves in the draft as far as receiving options. Their big move was bringing over Ridley and Pollard, which pretty good moves, honestly, as a team with an offensive-minded head coach. That all does bode really well for Ridley. Mm-hmm. But I do expect, so I think overall outlook, I do expect him to be a very high, very lows kind of wide receiver, inconsistent. But I still think I would still take him as a wide receiver 2, probably. Ooh. It's you're shooting for upside.
Yeah, but I mean, the guy, I mean, it's hard to say. It's so mixed. I mean, the wide receivers, he's 29 years old.
I think he's going to get a lot of volume.
Over Hopkins, though?
Yeah,
see, I think Hopkins is still going to demand those targets because, okay, perfect example. How many, he caught half of his balls. What's DeAndre Hopkins great at? Contested catches.
Yeah, but I watched those games.
Yeah, but you think Levis is more accurate at getting Ridley the ball than...
We just projected a whole Deontay Johnson on Bryce Young taking a step forward. And I kind of feel better about Will Levis taking a step forward.
I do feel
At least we saw a flash from Will Levis.
Yeah.
Versus Bryce Young.
Yeah, you kind of changed my mind there.
At least we had a gangbuster game.
Yeah.
At least we saw something.
Yeah, there's upside with Levis.
I think so.
I'm questioning upside of Bryce Young.
If we're throwing an upside of taking a step forward bet, I'm throwing it on Levis over Bryce Young.
Yeah, especially with the weapons.
I mean, do I think that they're going to get Bryce Young longer to take that step forward? Of course.
They have
to. Not over-invested, but they invested so highly in him.
Yeah, he's 101.
So Will Levis kind of has this year.
Yeah,
to do it.
Yeah.
And I think Will Levis has got that dog in him.
He does.
I think
if he him play, he wants to win.
I mean, okay, so his first game as a starter was a fluke. It's just a dog in him. Like he's got way more weapons this year.
Yeah.
I think he's got offensive head coach, like I said, coming over from the Bengals.
Yeah.
I think it's his time. I'm kind of in, dude.
This is a little side note, but okay. Imagine you swap Will Levis with Taylor Heineke in this offense.
Don't do I like Taylor Heineke.
I know, I love Taylor Heineke. And Levis kind of reminds me of Heineke with his go for it.
And the dogs.
So would you in that scenario, would you rank Taylor Heineke or Bryce Young higher?
I don't understand the question. I'm switching Bryce Young and Heineke?
No. Will Levis and Heineke. You're trading.
Where's Heineke at?
Oh, stop it.
What are we talking about?
It's a Bryce Young thing.
Heineke's a starting quarterback for the Titans?
Yes.
Whoa. my mind did not put that together at all.
It's okay. No, it's a confusing question, but like it just kind of going a little bit back into Carolina. I'm sorry for the sidetrack here, but I'm just curious. I think I would pick Heineke over Bryce Young.
I would pick Heineke.
Yeah,
I'd pick Heineke, but I also wouldn't pick any of his receiving options.
Yeah,
because he don't care who you are. He's gonna throw it to whoever he sees that's open.
And that brings it back to my point with the Tennessee Titans of I have no idea who's going to be the winner in this offense.
I think, personal opinion,
Yeah,
I think Ridley.
You think Ridley's going to be the winner, even with Pollard, Spears, D-Hop?
I'm not including the running backs in it.
Well,
as far as the receiving options,
yeah, sure.
For just receiving stats,
yeah.
I mean, he's gonna have more yardage than Pollard does at the end of the season.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think he also will have it more than Hopkins.
Yeah,
I do. I do think Ridley's a better talent today. Going into this year, it was a crazy way to present this, but then Hopkins does going into this year.
Okay. No, I don't think that's a crazy hot take. I mean,
I think he'll be the one.
Yeah.
I think he'll be the one.
I think it is still D-Hop, but just as a safety blanket kind of thing for Levis. But it wouldn't surprise me if we ended the year and Ridley's higher than Hopkins. I think Hopkins.
That's my bet.
I think Hopkins is aging and it's showing. But I think Ridley has that. He has that opportunity. I mean, he had numerous games over 100 yards.
I don't think Hopkins will win your week ever.
No,
with Ridley there now and Pollard and Spears, I think that Ridley could still win your week.
Yeah, I would much rather have Hopkins as my wide receiver 3, and I'd be okay with.
Do you have the rankings up still?
I can pull them up.
While I finish this next stat.
I'm ready whenever you
look up Hopkins versus Ridley on those rankings.
So Hopkins is 38th, and Ridley is 34.
Cool.
That's pretty solid, honestly, in my mind.
Yeah.
I think they're not going to be crazy efficient or anything.
All I heard was Ridley's higher. That's all I heard.
Yeah. No, I do agree. It makes the most sense.
Right.
Ridley still has some shake to him, and I think D-Hop is going to be more of a Mike Evans style role in this offense.
One, I feel like Ridley's still got so much tread on the tires. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, one of these, he has a year that is just blanked out. Mm-hmm. Where, he had time to work out, recover. Was it 2?
He took a mental health year.
That is,
and then didn't he have a betting year?
Let me
pull it up. Last year, Calvin really finished as wide receiver 24, so he was still a wide receiver 2 last year. Even with those super high highs, I know all of his fantasy players felt burnt, but overall, he did still finish as a wide receiver 2, right there on that borderline, of course. As you already heard, ECR consensus has him at wide receiver 34 going into next year, and that's all dependent on Will Levis.
So he missed half of 2021.
Okay.
And then 2022.
Okay. So
yeah, year and a half.
Year and a half. Because I know he had the mental health year, and then he got in trouble.
Yep.
So, cool.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I think we hammered that.
I think we hammered it pretty good.
What you got next?
Next up, Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel, 27-year-old wide receiver.
Yeah, let me scroll.
Unnecessary. I still have spill left here. Unnecessary. So, Curtis Samuel.
That was unnecessary. That was shots fired unnecessarily. I apologize. I love Curtis. I do.
Curtis Samuel, no longer a Commander. He signed with the Buffalo Bills to a 3-year, $30 million deal.
Bigger contract than I expected.
Bigger contract, longer term than I expected.
Yes.
The term is kind of what really surprised me.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that actually ends up shaking out. But, I mean, the Bills do need security right now.
Well, and on paper, we know the contracts in the NFL are not full-length contracts, but they signed him to turn 30 there.
Yeah, they did.
He's 27 right now. So they signed him to turn 30 as a Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
On paper.
But, he, in my opinion, when he plays, he looks younger than
He does. I was honestly surprised at his age. You kind of forget,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
100%.
because he's taking all these jet sweeps. He's a gadget guy, returning kicks. He's doing everything still, and I do, as a talent, I really do like Curtis Samuel.
Yeah.
And the sweet part is the Buffalo Bills have plenty of targets for receiving options. We went over it, I think, in our last couple videos ago, but Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs vacated, between the two of them, 200 targets.
Yeah. It's
that
a
are
ton. There's so much of opportunity here.
and that's including Kincaid's little breakout that he had,
Yeah.
and being also another threat on that team. There is a role for him. I think they will use him, especially if they are going to go run first. I do see a lot of I see rushing attempts, in his future and all that. It's going to be a super inexpensive option for your team that could have super high value.
It could. I do want to go over the rushing
Please
part
do.
of that, because it's interesting, because it was a big part of his game previously.
Right.
Guess how many? Just take a shot in the dark.
6
rushing attempts he had last year.
Yep.
You got 6. I got 7.
Is it 7?
Yeah, that was good.
I knew it was less than I thought it was.
I was really
I feel like I remember all 6.
Yeah, I was
You know what I
really
mean?
surprised, because I could be wrong, but I feel like he was much more of a threat. I know that was Carolina, and I know that was Ron Rivera.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching changes, and
That was just
different
last year, right?
coordinator. Yeah, last year was 7 attempts with 39 yards and a touchdown.
Don't call me, but I think the year before that was 12.
Was it?
I think it was literally double.
So it is less than you think, but I mean, no, he is a threat on the ground.
It's fluff. It's zhuzh.
Yeah.
It's always cool to see your guy get points another way than you're used to.
100%. I love seeing CeeDee Lamb's rushing yards last year.
Well, the nice thing is too, or not the nice thing, but like with Curtis Samuel, I don't see him becoming like the wide receiver 1 for this offense. But I mean, Gabe Davis set a pretty low bar for wide receiver 2 on this team. I do see it I could see that in the cards for him. He will be a gadget guy. He's gonna find points in other ways. He did it last year.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure last year he started the season pretty hot. I think he was like the wide receiver 6. It was either last year or before. But he started the season at like wide receiver 6, it felt like, for dang near like the whole half of the season.
Yeah, I believe it was the previous year.
Was it the previous year?
Yeah.
So remember, he was out of not out of nowhere, but just like super inexpensive, and he was killing it on all of our starting rosters.
And he's always kind of just an interesting player, because I mean, he didn't hit 100 yards receiving last year until week 12. But the thing is, he got 12 targets in that game, 9 catches, 100 yards. I mean, there's nothing better. Yeah. But he never saw that many targets again.
Yeah.
So it was just a strange stat that I found.
Well, it's always felt like he's been underused.
Yes.
Because when he has his opportunities, I feel like he maximizes them and looks awesome.
He looks so good.
And then he's off the field.
Yeah.
And then you don't see him the rest of the game. Like, he's not even out there.
Yeah.
Or then you see him again and he runs for 10 yards. And you're like, hey, there he is.
Yeah, he is.
He's on my bench right now.
Interesting dynamic that they got going on. Well, and I mean, just, don't want to go too stat crazy here, but
it's easy to do when you're looking at that on.
Yeah, week 3, 2 catches, 54 yards. Yeah. On 4 targets. It's like, how do you not give this guy the ball more?
That's all they needed.
Yeah.
That's all they needed. I bet they won that game.
Yeah, no kidding. And it really makes me wonder if Buffalo, and funny thing is, that was against Buffalo.
Was it really?
It was.
They remember.
That was his best game.
They remember.
Not his best game. I apologize, but it was up there. So maybe Buffalo from the other bench was like, we got to get this guy. This is crazy.
I feel like as fantasy players, we've seen it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, well, and not to be contrarian, but so he's never finished higher than wide receiver 25 in his set. He's been in the NFL for 7 seasons.
Yeah.
I am not comfortable predicting a wide receiver 8 or a year 8 breakout.
No.
You know what I mean?
That doesn't happen.
But I do see him being used in this offense, being serviceable as a flex option. He's also going to be pretty stinking cheap. You know what I mean? In your redraft leagues, I think it's going to be I would not be surprised if he has super good production like in the first half of the year, like it feels like he always does.
Yeah, I think
When they actually utilize him.
I think when the Bills are going to need someone to start this season hot, and because we all know rookies take
Yep.
time.
Coleman's
Keon,
going to need a minute.
yeah, Keon Coleman's going to need a minute to get acclimated to being in the NFL. I mean, it's a big step. So if you're gonna ride with Curtis Samuel, flex play at
For
best,
inexpensive.
cheap, yeah.
Or counterpoint, what if Coleman's not the guy?
Then, oh man, I Bills Mafia.
If he's not the guy,
Yeah.
this is not a deep roster.
No,
You have like
it's not.
Khalil
Shakir.
Thank you. Khalil Shakir. He's not a one.
No, I don't see it. I've heard some people saying he's gonna have his breakout this year, and but
I hope so.
I don't see it.
I hope he does better than he ever has.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? He has the opportunity to show your stuff.
We want everyone to score 30.
I want
points a game.
everyone to score points. I hate defense. I hate defense.
Take him off the field. Let's
Might
just
as well.
see who catches them all.
Just see who the quarterback likes. I don't know what to tell you. He did finish last season as wide receiver 42. So yeah, you're right. It was the season before.
Yeah.
ECR has him wide receiver 53. I think it's 53 with a ton of upside.
Yeah, no,
I think it's a ton of inexpensive upside. And if those cards do fall, in his favor, and Keon Coleman's not the one, and I'm not calling the year 8 breakout, but
no, you can't.
potential is there for a ton, like a lot of opportunity for him at least.
Yeah.
Where what we just went over, he was underutilized. I think he was underutilized
100%.
forever.
100%.
So we'll see what shakes out.
Yeah, and this Bills offense is wide open. It
Wide
really
open.
is. I mean,
Yep.
it could be anybody, and it wouldn't surprise me.
No.
Kincaid and Cook are going to get their fair share, 100%. That's a guarantee. But I think
Kincaid's a stud too.
He is,
But I don't see him as receiving option number one.
No,
I don't.
He might be the leading receiver by the end of the year.
You think he's not lockdownable?
I don't think he'll see.
He might be receiving option 1 for the first 4 weeks.
I don't think he'll see enough attention. Look at. I'm not comparing the two, but just look at what happened to Sam Laporta. He did it almost all year.
He wasn't the number 1 receiving option though.
Right, it was Amon-Ra.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, say Curtis Samuel has a great year.
Or Coleman.
Let's say Coleman. I like
Coleman feels better to say.
Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, but let's say Keon Coleman has the best season of his year, of his career. Whatever you want to say.
A rookie breakout season.
A rookie breakout season. Thank you so much. I think Kincaid outproduces. I do. Yeah.
We need to figure out a bet system.
I know. We need a board.
We need a bet system.
We need a whiteboard.
Because I want to take that bet. I like Coleman. I like the size. I like the build. I like the production. And I like the opportunity for him.
Yeah.
I don't see Kincaid. I see Kincaid as a fantastic tight end for fantasy.
Yeah.
I like Kincaid. I just don't see him as the number 1.
I'm not saying Kincaid is tight end gonna finish tight end 1.
No, on this offense is what we're talking about.
I think it might be a little bit more rough of a year for the Bills. I really do.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they made leaps and bounds and figured it out, getting rid of Diggs, and they're gonna see their way through. But
yeah.
I think their moves were in the wrong direction.
I agree. All right, who else you got?
Oh, last up on my big board of breakdowns. We got Jerry Judy, 25 years old. He got traded from the Denver Broncos to the Cleveland Browns with a 3-year extension on his previous contract for up to $58 million. I don't know who his agent is, but I would like to talk to that guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's MVP.
That's incredible.
MVP, dude.
Yeah.
That's he goes from, in my opinion, one bad situation to another. I'm really sorry to all you Deshaun Watson fans. I am not in. I think this is another Cleveland Browns contract that will not pay off. I think Deshaun Watson and last year's Russell Wilson are the Spider-Man meme of like, no, you were a bad investment. No, you were a bad investment. Like they're doing this. Oh, like they're both just underperformed and were paid the bag.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like it's a pretty similar situation he's going into. I'm not excited for Judy. He has a great route runner. Just not enough production. I believe he'll continue to be a wide receiver 3 and keep averaging around 7 points per game.
Yeah.
He's the new guy.
He's it's hard to say. I mean, I don't know. I just can't see any wide receiver in this offense really digging into Amari Cooper's production.
No, Amari Cooper's a dog.
Yeah, he's so good. He's so good.
Well, and you're projecting this, next year's stats, and you're projecting Deshaun Watson to come back.
Yeah.
And Njoku didn't have his super sweet fantasy finishes. Man, words are getting hard. Fantasy finishes until Flacco took over.
Yeah.
And Nick Chubb was not there. And so they had to rely more on the receiving game.
Yeah.
And I think they had a better quarterback in Flacco throwing the ball.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, Deshaun Watson's looked really pretty rough, man.
Yeah, I think they have to stick with Watson. Well, they could switch to Jameis though this season. Which we will go over in the quarterback episode, but
True that.
I would like
That'd be more exciting.
I would like it better.
I'd like it better.
Yeah, Deshaun just has not shown the Deshaun of old with Houston. I mean,
do you really see the Browns admitting they were wrong? After all that PR nightmare and
no, I think just it'll be a mid-season injury type thing that
it'll be he's unsure if he's going to play. Well, we didn't see anything on the injury report. No, he seems hurt.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more of the same with the Browns this season.
I think Amari Cooper is still going to be a steal in the drafts.
100%.
I feel like he always is. He didn't do much last year up until he won you into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I don't know. I think even Njoku got, just right up the rankings after last year.
It was awesome.
And it wasn't even their starting quarterback.
It was so awesome.
So who's to say that what we saw in Njoku had this fantastic finish and we've been waiting, 7 years for it,
Yeah.
One of the best prospects, and I don't know. I'm not in on Deshaun Watson. I'm also not in on the newcomer coming over when his receiving options that he's been practicing with and establishing rapport with have not done it with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, and it's also pretty interesting looking at his stats. I mean, Jerry Judy earns targets.
Mm-hmm. He does.
That's the weird part is he, most targets get earned by wide receivers who are, dominating in their own way.
It's an earnable stat.
Yeah,
I said that with Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, he has two of his 4 seasons have more than 100 targets.
Yeah, I think he finished wide receiver 18. It was like second season. I think he finished wide receiver like 18 or something like that was his highest finish.
Yeah, I believe that was season 3. That wasn't last year. That was the year before.
Thank you.
It's just interesting because a lot of it looks like lack of touchdown. Which if you're not getting looked at in the end zone, it's gonna be rough. His year 2 season, he didn't have a single touchdown.
When you got Amari Cooper and Njoku. And that running game. The Browns love to pound the rock.
Well, and Jerome Ford is coming back.
And Chubb.
And Foreman is also back there, but I don't see that being a huge threat. But those are all, between those 5. I
see Judy as maybe 4th.
Couple touchdowns,
maybe.
Yeah, 2
on a really good against a really good defense that's locked up 4 of them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That third year he had 6 touchdowns, but the other years, rookie season 3 touchdowns, sophomore season 0 touchdowns, last year 2 touchdowns, and it's not like Russ wasn't throwing touchdowns last year because Cortland Sutton had 10.
Yeah,
I don't
think he's going to a better situation.
No.
So are you more optimistic this year than you were? Or I guess he was hyped last year, so I can't say that.
So I do think he will see the field more which might mean more targets, and he could break off a couple touchdowns. I think there's a better chance because like last year they were invested in Mims. Mims was out there. I'm
Yeah.
not saying he played well or saw a
Yeah,
ton
but
of
Tim Patrick
targets.
was also hurt.
Tim Patrick, it's I don't know. I think he's definitely the wide receiver 2 on this offense, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that that's going to be fantasy
And receiving option 3.
at, at least.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You got Njoku ahead of him.
At most. Yeah,
And then
I misspoke. I'd almost put Jerome Ford above him in like offensive importance.
so yeah, but
You know what I'm saying?
I think third receiving option
Yeah,
would be fair.
yeah. He's gonna get the targets. It just he has to do something with them, and he
He's
hasn't
gonna be
really proved that he can do something with them.
Yeah, he's gonna be Peoples Jones with a smaller body,
Yeah,
with a smaller build.
yeah. So yeah, we're not super hyped on Judy here.
If Flacco was still there,
Yeah, if Flacco was still there, I would be a little more hyped.
what a bummer. What a bummer situation that is.
But I mean, what he finished last year, wide receiver
53.
53. So I mean,
And he's projected for wide receiver 56 on
yeah,
ECR.
and I mean he was on the field. I think he missed one game. Yeah, he only missed one game.
Yeah, he was there all year.
So we'll see. You know, I'm not going to project a 5th-year breakout, but he could.
He did finish wide receiver 18 one year.
And maybe a change of scenery helps out.
And maybe they're super bought in. And everyone keeps sleeping on Amari Cooper on the roster.
Well, they're definitely bought in for
no kidding.
$58 million.
Yeah. Maybe they'll give him a target per million.
Yeah. So
that's all I got for Judy.
Awesome.
You like it?
I do.
So that's the end of the list we're going to do full breakdowns on. I have a list of honorable mentions here just so you are aware of the landscape, of other guys you're looking at. Some kind of relative guys, but nothing super, super big.
Just some notes.
Yeah, honorable mentions here. We got Chase Claypool was signed to the Bills. That was just very recently. KJ Osborne's on the Patriots. Cordero Patterson and Van Jefferson moved with who was the head coach of Atlanta?
Arthur Smith.
Arthur Smith. They moved with Arthur Smith to the Steelers. Smith. Yeah, to the Steelers, who hates fantasy football, so
he does.
Take that with a grain of salt. Josh Reynolds is now a Bronco from the Lions. Michael Gallup and Guyton are now on the Raiders. Jalen Guyton. Spell check to Helen. Wasn't prepared to say that.
I wish you would have.
I know. I wasn't ready to do that. Ready to do that to him. He's already a Raider.
Yeah, fair.
He's had enough. DJ Chark is now a Charger. And then Darnell Mooney, which I think is probably the most relevant one on this list, is a Falcon.
Yeah,
that's the most noteworthy one to me.
I think it is because I am not positive on the Atlanta's depth chart, but I think he's wide receiver 2.
I think he's wide receiver 2.
And we have had a year of Darnell Mooney.
See, it's getting late.
I know it's getting late, but Darnell Mooney can be a fantasy asset. So I do agree because I was going to ask you who's the most relevant, and I couldn't agree.
It's Darnell Mooney.
It's Darnell Mooney.
It's Darnell Mooney. I like KJ.
I do. Yeah. No.
Cordero still Cordero.
Yeah.
Looking through this, DJ Chark, I'm not in on.
Right.
Michael Gallup to the Raiders. Sure. I take Jacoby Myers all day over it.
Yeah.
100%. Van Jefferson to the Steelers. That's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't see him commanding targets at all.
But, no, Darnell Mooney. With Kirk Cousins there, it's going to open up a whole lot of opportunity. I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to support 3 of them real well. I mean, you have Kyle Pitts and Drake London there already. I think those are their investments and their studs. But Darnell Mooney is going to have some weeks.
Yeah, because if you look back of when before the injury and in previous years, Kirk Cousins has supported numerous weapons. Yeah. We didn't get to see a whole lot of Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, but I it, if Kirk Cousins is right with his injury and he's back to old Kirko chains,
Yeah. Yeah.
I could definitely see Darnell Mooney being a steal in a draft. Actually,
Yeah, he's going to be serviceable. You're going to be able to start him some weeks, especially if he starts to trend with the
yeah,
team. Because there is a lot of unknown there.
yeah.
We have a new system, new quarterback, and a very competent quarterback, a very capable quarterback in that situation.
But at best, I see flex option. I don't see
For
wide receiver
sure.
2 or anything
For sure.
like that.
I'm too hyped on Pitts and London
Yeah,
to even foresee it.
and Bijan is a serious threat in the passing game.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's basically a receiver coming out of the backfield.
I mean, so realistically, we're seeing him as the fourth receiving option.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll take that.
That's it. That's it for me.
Right.
You go with it?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
All right, guys. Thank you. If you made it this far,
We appreciate
slow
it.
clap.
We appreciate you. We really do.
We really, seriously do. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. We're trying to build this thing. Don't forget to check out the Facebook group. You guys got questions, you got comments. It's the easiest way to do so. Trying to build a community over there.
Yep.
Help each other out. You know what I mean? Tell you how bad you did in your draft. I'd love to do that. I'd love nothing more than to do that.
Yeah, we should start a roast my draft.
It would be great.
It'd be
No,
so
it'd be
good.
roast my league mates draft.
Yeah.
Would be pretty
I like
sweet.
that better. I like that.
So get your home leagues, bring them over here. Show me what your grandma's drafted. But that's it for me.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.
Peace.